Now guys, here we can see the one part that the cell junction. There are three types of cell junctions. One is the tight junctions, second one is the adhering junction, and third one is the gap junction. Here we can see that the in tight junction prevent leakage across the tissue, means it prevents leakage across the tissue. And here we can see that the adhering junction perform cementing to keep neighboring cells together, means it works like a cement, means cements, how cements keeps the bricks together, like that it performs cement to keeps neighboring cells together. Here we can now see the gap junctions. Gap junction facilitate the cells to communicate with each other by connecting the cytoplasm of adjoining cells for rapid transport of ions, small molecules, and sometimes big molecules. Now, guys, here we are going to see the second types of the tissue. Here we can see the connective tissue. Connective tissues are the most abundant and widely distributed tissue. Connective tissue is one of the most abundant and it is widely distributed tissue in human body. Here, connective tissues link and support their tissues and organ. Components of the connective tissues are the matrix, means ground substance, which means modified polysaccharides or intracellular materials, cells, fibroblast, macrophages, and adipocytes. Fibers. Fibroblast secretes collagen or elastin fibers. Fiber provides strength, elasticity, flexibility to the tissue. Now, here, now guys, here we are going to see the three types of the connective tissue. First of all, the loose connective tissue. Here we can see the loose connective tissue. Cells and fibers are loosely packed in semi-fluid matrix. That means it is a loose connective tissue. The types of the loose connective tissues are the areolar tissue, adipose tissue, and the major cells of the areolar tissues are the fibroblasts, macrophages, and the mast cells. In examine, asks the question the types of the loose connective tissue, that are the areolar tissue and adipose tissue. And the major cells of the adipose tissues are the adipocytes. Here, the examiners are also asked the questions such as the function of the areolar tissue and the adipose tissue. Here, we can see the function of the areolar tissues are the serves as the support and frameworks for the epithelium. Here, we can see the functions of the adipose. Adipose tissue is the reservoir of store fats. How we can remember this? The function of the adipose tissue. The adipose, adi and po. P adipose contain P, and its function is the to reservoir of store fats. And now we can see the location of the tissue, that's are the areolar tissues are present beneath the skin. It is present in between the skin, and adipose tissue are present mainly beneath the skin. Here we can see the structures of the areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Many students are very confusing in between these two diagrams. That's why see it properly. First of all, here we can see the macrophages, here we can see the fibroblast, here we can see the collagen fiber and the mast cells. Mast cells, these are the mast cells. Here we can see the fat storage area. Here it is the This black is a nucleus and it is a plasma membrane. Here we can see the excess of nutrients not meant for immediate goods use are converted to fats and stored in the adipose tissue. Here they want to say that the excess means if there are more amount of nutrients and that's are used to convert fat into the stored adipose tissue. Now, as here we can see the second types of the connective tissue that's are the loose no dense connective tissue. Here fibroblast and fibers are compactly arranged, compactly packed in matrix. The two types of dense connective tissues are the dense irregular connective tissue, dense regular, irregular and dense irregular connective tissue. The cells and fibers are how cells and fibers are arranged. Cells and fibers are arranged in parallel bundle of collagen fibers. Here fibroblast and fibers are oriented differently. Here is the we can see the location of the dense regular tissue connective tissue. The tendons, it present in tendons means attached to skeletal muscle to bone. Here we can see one ticks. It also present in ligaments means attached to bone to bone. Means how to remember this, the bone to bone. Bone to bone means where the bone to bone is attachment is present in the ligament means b bone to b bone and ligament l means how to remember the mm, nomics is the bubbly here. Now here we also can see the arrangement of fibers and cells in the dense regular tissue and the dense irregular tissue. Here we can see the it's arranged in the mm, parallel way and it's arranged in the irregular means unparalleled way. Here now guys we can see the third types of the connective tissue, specialized specialized connective tissue. Here we can see that the specialized connective tissue are divided into two parts, that's are the skeletal connective tissue and the fluid connective tissue. Here we can see that the skeletal connective tissue is of two types, cartilage and bones. Now here we can see the how is the matrix of the cartilage and the bones. The matrix of the cartilage are the solid means it is totally solid and it is a pliable means it is a movable means it can be bend or anything. Okay, now here you can see in the bones are the hard and non-pliables. We can see that when we touch our bones it is hard and it's never bends means it is non-pliable. And means what type of cells are present in lacuna. Chondrocytes are present in lacuna in cartilage, osteocytes present in lacuna in bones. Where the location of the cartilage such as the where is the cartilage are present, tip of the nose. Here we can see that the our nose tips are the pliable means it's smoothly uh, bent or anything else. Here we can see that the ear joints when we touch our ears is easily pliable and it's also present in between the vertebrae and limbs and hands in the adult. Most of the cartilage in vertebrates embryos are replaced by bones in adults. Now guys here we can see the location of the bones and its function. It constitutes mainly structural and frameworks, interact with skeletal muscle to bring movements. Here we can see the bone marrow. In some bones is the site for production of the blood cells. In bone marrow, it is the site for the production of the bloods. Here we can see the structure of the cartilage, and here it is the structures of the bones. Here you can see the lacuna of the cartilage are present chondrocytes, and here the osteocytes. Now here we can see the second types of the um, specialized connective tissue, that is the fluid connective tissue. Fluid connective tissue is the blood, main circulating fluid that helps in the transport of various surface substances. Blood is the main circulating fluid in our body that helps in transport of various substances. Means it transports various substances in our body. It composed blood composed of plasma, RBC, WBC, platelets, fibroblast, and fibers are absent in the bloods. Here we can see the cartilage resist compression. Calcium salts and collagen fibers in ground substances provide strength to the bones. Lacuna are the small cavities enclosing cells with the matrix secreted by them. Now, now guys, here we can see the third types of the tissue, that is the muscular tissue. Here we can see the microfibrils makes muscle fibers makes the muscles. Now here we can see the it shows contractility to contractility and return to their uncontracted state in a coordinated fashion. It play an active role in all movements. Here we can see the types of the muscular tissue. And the skeletal muscle, here smooth muscle is also known as the visceral muscles. Here we can see the cardiac muscles fibers. Now guys, here we can see the how is the shapes of these three types of muscle fibers, such as the skeletal muscle is the cylindrical, smooth is a spindle of fusiform, and cardiac is a cylindrical. Now here we can see the how is the nuclei of the these types of the muscles. It is in a skeletal it is multinucleated. Here it is uninucleated. Here it is uninucleated. Here they tell about the location of the nuclei. Here we can see the in skeletal it is present at the periphery, in smooth it is present at the center, in cardiac it is present at the center. Striation, here we can see the skeletal muscle is striated, smooth are non-striated, cardiac are fin-striated. Here we can see the branching. Skeletal is unbranched, smooth is unbranched, and cardiac is a branch. Here we can see the under control of will, means woman can control it or not. We can see the skeletal muscle is a voluntary, means woman can control it. Smooth muscle or visceral muscles, no, woman can't control it, means it is involuntary. Here we can see the cardiac muscles, non involuntary. Now here we can see the junctions is present in it or absent. Here we can see the junction is absent in skeletal muscles, and it's present in the smooth muscles, present in the cardiac muscle. Now here we can see the where these types of muscle fibers are the present. Here you can see the Skeletal muscle is present to the attached to the bones such as the biceps. Here we can see the structures of the skeletal muscle fiber. Now here we can see the smooth muscles such as the blood vessels, stomach and intestine. That's why it is involuntary, because we can't volunteer it. Here you can see the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle is example is the heart wall. Here we can see the structures of the skeletal muscle. It is a smooth muscle. Here it is cardiac muscles. This last point is very important because many examiner ask question on it. Communication junctions, intercalated discs at same junction fusion points allow the cells of the cardiac muscle to contact as a unit. Now guys, here we can see the types of four types of the tissue, such as the neural tissue. This tissue is tissue with greatest control over the body. Means neural tissue have the greatest control of our human body. It is responsiveness to changing condition. It is responsible to change conditions. Here we can see the components, means which tissue components are included in this tissue: neurons and neurological cells. Here we can see the unit of neural system is the neurons. More than one half of the volume of neural tissue. Here we can see the excitability is present in neurons and it is absent in the neuroglial cells. The function of the neurons is the response to changing condition through various stimuli, and the function of neuroglial cell is the protection and supports neuron. Here we can see the structures of the neuron. Neuroglia, dendrites, cell bodies, and it is a last part. It is a axon. Upon suitable stimulation, the electrical disturbance generator travels swiftly along the plasma membrane of neuron. So, thank you guys. Here we have completed the part 1 of the chapter structural organization in animals. In second session, we will continue with the second part of this chapter, such that are the cockroach and the frog. Okay, if any mistakes are there, sorry for the mistakes. Thank you.